Many hope today to receive a message from one they love, and some are planning to deliver a message to one they love. I hope you won't be disappointed. My parents loved me dearly. Of that, I had no doubt. But when I was 10 years old, I had to attend boarding school in England, while my parents continued to live thousands of miles away in Saudi Arabia. The separation was an enormous wrench for me. On the long flight to England, I remember feeling queasy in the pit of my stomach as I left behind the heat and sunshine of Arabia and flew across the miles and descended through the multiple layers of cloud into the cold, grey scene of London's Heathrow Airport. The rain droplets on the airplane windows shot past, and I felt so very, very far from home as I arrived at the school in my uniform of grey shorts, sweater, tie and cap, pulling my great green trunk of belongings behind me. The loneliness was in fact overwhelming. I slept in a dormitory of about 15 other boys. It was a very foreign experience, complete with rickety metal frame beds and the occasional pillow fight. Every morning, after making our beds, we boys would stand aside while our bed-making skills and hospital corners were graded. There were unfamiliar smells, unfamiliar foods, and very unfamiliar teachers. My Latin master would walk around the room and peck the heads with the tip of his ballpoint pen if we didn't know an answer, and I was very well pecked. Out on the fields during our sports time and on a rare clear day, if a plane was flying high overhead, leaving a vapor trail, I would study its course to see if that plane might be heading back to Arabia, and feeling a deep pang if it was, I longed somehow to jump aboard and go back home to my parents. The brightest spot in any week came during breakfast time when mail was delivered. I would look anxiously for the telltale blue airmail letter that my mother sent faithfully every week. As the teachers came around the tables with letters to hand out, I would literally be on the edge of my bench waiting to see if one was for me. In so many senses, this was Hogwarts. But without the owls and with none of that magic. Those blue airmail letters were often the highlight of my week, particularly in the early days when my loneliness was most acute. I would receive those letters from home with such happiness and relief. I would wait until I could be alone to carefully unseal them and then eagerly read the messages of love, reassurance, and advice from my parents. I savored every line and felt, for those moments, closer to home and closer to my parents' love, and received the courage that I needed to continue for another week.